On this Saturday night, tragedy in Texas. A sudden torrent of flood water triggers a deadly disaster.
It's getting time now for the recovery, and that's going to be a long, toilsome task.
Dozens of children still missing. The frantic emergency and the rescue mission to find them. Touring the stables.
There are certain things in my job I'm better at.
Mark Carney in full cowboy mode, reviving a long-running tradition of sitting prime ministers visiting the Calgary Stampede, no matter their political stripes. TikTok spending trap.
Oh my God.
Why more and more teens are in over their heads because of impulse buying. Plus, not looking back in anger. Oasis ends their feud to make a mighty return, sending fans in Wales supersonic.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Anthony Robart.
Good evening and thank you so much for joining us. We begin in Central Texas, where a small army of search and rescue crews have swarmed stretches of the swollen Guadalupe River in a desperate search for more than 24 missing people swept downstream by intense flooding. Now, these are some of the first images to come out of Camp Mystic, a summer camp where more than 20 girls went missing after flash flooding tore through the region. Officials say the devastation has killed at least 32, including 14 children. And tonight, the rush is on to find some 27 people still unaccounted for, as forecasters warn of more rain on the way. Candice Cole begins our coverage.
People need to know today will be a hard day.
24 hours after deadly flash floods ripped through Kerrville, Texas, killing dozens of people, search and rescue crews are stopping at nothing to find survivors. This video showing the gripping moment a person is airlifted out of rushing floodwaters to safety. And this one showing the devastation left behind at a campground in Kerrville, where 36 RVs and 11 tiny homes were reportedly swept away.
So far, we've evacuated over 850 uninjured people, 8 injured people.
Now rescuers continue to hold out hope for a missing group of over 20 young girls attending an all-girls Christian camp where the nearby Guadalupe River rapidly rose to 9 meters. Here at a local elementary school, some parents are being reunited with their children who have been rescued.
The camp has obviously captured the attention of the entire country. I have one of my colleagues who's his daughter's niece was one of the people here, and I was on the phone with him yesterday. We were trying to find her, and unfortunately she passed. It's affecting a lot of people.
Floodwaters came rushing in during the early morning hours Friday after a massive dump of torrential rains, following a flash flood warning issued by the National Weather Service Thursday, which has recently seen a deep cut in federal funding. The mayor of Kerrville announcing a fund has been set up for anyone wanting to offer help.
The easiest way to get information about that is to follow the City of Kerrville Facebook page. City of Kerrville, City Hall, Facebook page.
As Kerr County and 14 others in the San Antonio region continue to be under a disaster declaration, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed another disaster declaration Saturday to cover even more areas.
This disaster declaration includes Bexar County, Burnett, Caldwell, Guadalupe, Travis, and Williamson counties.
Another flash flood emergency is underway in an area northwest of Austin and southwest of Killeen, where over 250 millimeters of rain had fallen Saturday morning. Candice Cole, Global News, Washington.
And let's go now to NBC's Ryan Chandler, who is in Kerrville, Texas tonight. Ryan, what are you seeing on the ground there?
We're learning of more heartbreak and more tragedy with every update that we receive here in Kerrville, Texas. If you look at this scene, you can get an appreciation and an understanding for the sheer destruction that ripped through this central Texas town. This is not the riverbed behind me. The Guadalupe River, which exploded and left this damage, is about a football field away. It looks like a tornado ripped through here after the river rose as much as 26 to 30 feet in about an hour. But this is not wind, this is water. You see the trees leveled, the bark stripped all the way up to the tree limbs. This is what left a path of destruction and death in Kerrville just about 24 hours ago, and still state officials say As many as 23 to 25 little girls who were attending a summer camp here at a camp called Camp Mystic are still missing. Right now, that is the top priority. Helicopters, drones, dive teams in place trying to find any of those girls who may still be alive. We were at the reunification center where parents are gathering together at a local church waiting for answers, talking with some families inside. I talked to a brother of an 8-year-old girl who is still missing. He described the scene of tears and fear inside that church as families wait and pray for the best but fear the worst. In Kerrville, for now, I'm Ryan Chandler. Back to you.
Terrifying situation, Ryan. Thank you for this. Now, forecasters are warning of more severe weather in other parts of the U.S. as Tropical Storm Chantal forms off the coast of the Carolinas. The National Hurricane Center says the storm is expected to move across the coast of South Carolina late today or early tomorrow. Some additional strengthening is expected before Chantal reaches the coast. Flash flooding is possible in some areas as well. The Canadian Hurricane Center says no major impacts are expected north of the border, but storm remnants could contribute to enhanced rainfall in parts of Atlantic Canada. Meanwhile, a hot and muggy day in Toronto for what is known as the Salsa on St. Clair Festival. Another heat warning has been issued for the city and much of Ontario this weekend. Temperatures expected to hit the low 30s today and Sunday, and it could feel as hot as 40 in some areas. Mark Carney is addressing Alberta's concerns as he makes his first Calgary Stampede visit as Prime Minister. Now, Carney says he understands the frustrations some Albertans have and is working to address the rising tide of separatism in the province. David Akin has more on the Prime Minister's pitch in Cowboy Country.
I saw you across the room.
At Calgary's famous Stampede, Prime Minister Mark Carney met Alberta's Premier, took lots of selfies, and tried to figure out how to flip a pancake.
There are certain things in my job I'm better at.
But one thing Carney hopes he is good at, stemming a rising tide of Alberta's separatism.
Part of the conversation is about the amazing opportunities for Alberta today and for Canada today to build. And that's everything from building homes to building new pipelines. It's building carbon capture. It's building new forms of energy.
Carney told Global Calgary's Joel Senek that he understands the frustration some in Alberta have. Carney grew up, after all, in Edmonton.
I take things seriously. When people have problems, when people have concerns or grievances, I take them seriously and see which ways. I mean, my job is to help solve problems.
Carney's biggest problem these days, of course, is the threat that U.S. tariffs represent to the Canadian economy. Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump agreed at the G7 summit in Kananaskis to get to some agreement by July the 21st. Carney says one of the challenges to get a deal with Canada is that the White House has ongoing negotiations with dozens of countries.
When the person you're dealing with or the country you're dealing with has multiple objectives, it jumps around a bit and you've got to be nimble.
Carney's approach? Emphasize how Canada can help the White House on China, on balance of trade issues, on protections for workers, and on border security.
We can solve a lot of those issues in ways that are good for the people of Alberta, good for the people of Canada, and that's what we're looking to do with them.
But Carney's pitch is also to Albertans and all Canadians to do more to strengthen the national economy.
We can give ourselves far more than any trading relationship, even a trading relationship with the United States. And so the more that that's understood, the more the collaborative approach comes together.
Carney noted he's been in Alberta 8 times already this year and expects to come back at least once a month. More opportunities to hone his skills on the griddle.
I'm better at waffles.
David Akin, Global News, Ottawa.
More than 1 million visitors are expected at the Stampede. This at the same time that Alberta is battling its worst measles outbreak in nearly 50 years. With that, health experts are warning parents with babies as well as unvaccinated children to sit this one out. As Erik Bay reports, for other vulnerable individuals to think twice about attending large gatherings.
The Calgary Stampede regularly brings in more than 1 million visitors each year. Doctors say this year's event could put people in contact with an infectious guest.
There's going to be people out there that have measles and they're going to be spreading it.
The province's data from Friday shows Alberta is up to 1,190 confirmed cases. That's almost as many cases as the United States had as of Tuesday, according to the Centers for Disease Control's latest weekly report.
The numbers, regardless, are alarming.
Doctors say that means any summer gathering, from farmers markets to Edmonton's local festivals and the Calgary Stampede, is likely to have the disease circulating.
If you're not immunized, or if your kids aren't immunized, or you're at risk, or you're pregnant, why take the chance?
Health experts say those people could come into contact with measles anywhere there's crowds.
Either they're immunocompromised or non-immunized, it's probably worth a second thought about attending these large events.
The problem, according to professionals, is symptoms can take days to appear. That makes it hard to tell who has measles.
It's impossible to know who you've come in contact with. And given that measles may be infectious even before somebody knows they have measles, there is a significant risk that these large events could lead to, more transmission.
Information that has even immunized visitors thinking about possible spread at the Stampede.
It's not something I'm thinking about until you mentioned it, but yeah, now I probably will be.
The province says people who are at high risk of complications or not immunized should be aware large gatherings can increase the risk of exposure. It says those people should consider potential risks before visiting crowded places. Erik Bay, Global News.
And still in Alberta, farmers and ranchers are also trying to fend off an unexpected pest this summer. Fields across the prairies are being ravaged by ground squirrels, commonly referred to as gophers. Now, numbers have exploded this year, and while they may look cute to many, they're also causing a lot of damage. Heather Yerkes West explains why some provincial leaders are pushing the federal government to take action.
As far as pests go, they're cuter than the grasshopper, but ground squirrels aren't welcome on Alan Jones's farm.
So you can see on this plant here, there's hardly any leaves left.
The southern Alberta canola farmer estimates he's had thousands of the critters, more commonly referred to as gophers, feast on his crop over the last few weeks, leaving large sections of his fields destroyed.
In this field, it's about an 80-acre field, and the adjuster figured we lost about half of it. And for us, that's about a $28,000 to $30,000 loss of revenue.
Last fall, a Health Canada ban on the use of strychnine as a poison came into effect, making gophers the latest source of tension between Alberta and the federal government.
Alberta's Premier and her Agriculture Minister sent a letter to Ottawa last week asking that strychnine production and sale be reinstated immediately, writing, should this not occur, Alberta's producers may have no choice but to seek federal compensation.
The removal of strychnines was based on solid facts. And the control of ground squirrel, we have techniques that do not involve toxicant that works.
The problem with strychnine, according to researchers, is that it kills a little too well. Ground squirrels, but birds too, and any predators that may pick up a poisoned prey.
It's also inhumane. Some animals may take over 12 hours to die from strychnine. So it doesn't meet the standards on animal welfare and efficiency.
It's why the poison is banned across almost every U.S. state except Nevada, and why Saskatchewan is turning to licensed hunters instead.
From here all the way down.
But Jones says that method takes a lot of time.
If they could register strychnine again for use on bad gophers, that would really help.
Especially in a year where drought has caused the population of these animals to explode. Heather Yerkes West, Global News, near Balzac, Alberta.
Parisians and tourists take the plunge. Coming up, the River Seine allows public swimming for the first time in more than a century. In Paris, people are soaking up the chance to have a swim in the heart of the city. The River Seine has officially reopened to the public for the first time since 1923. Well, Parisians and tourists from all over, even Ontario, took a dip.
It's great for the environment, it's great for the city, great for the people that live here, so very good initiative.
The transformation is all part of a massive cleanup spurred by last year's Summer Olympics. In Portugal today, soccer stars join the family and friends of Liverpool forward Diogo Jota, as well as his brother Andre Silva, for their funeral. The service was held in the siblings' hometown of Gondomar 2 days after they died in a car crash in Spain. The brothers were believed to be heading to catch a ferry to England when their Lamborghini veered off the road and burst into flames. Jota was 28 years old. His brother, who was also a professional soccer player, was 25. The Dalai Lama is celebrating a milestone birthday and is predicting he'll have many more milestones to come. The Tibetan spiritual leader turned 90 today. He told his followers that he hopes to live until he's 130 and will reincarnate upon his death. The Dalai Lama has said his successor will be born in the free world outside China. But China views the Dalai Lama as a separatist and has insisted that only Beijing has the authority to approve his successor. Ahead, TikTok temptation, the pitfalls of impulse buying through social media platforms. Well, the enticements to buy on social media are seemingly never-ending these days. From everyday advertisements to shopping haul videos, the barrage of content encourages overspending. Now, this can easily overwhelm adults and be even more dangerous for young people. And Gabiola explains how you can avoid the temptation.
Shein haul.
Cheyenne's massive spree from fast fashion retailer Shein is the top result if you search haul on TikTok.
I don't think I've ever had a Shein haul this big before, so I'm so excited.
Social media literally has turned into entertainment. TikTok trends like haul culture or TikTok made me buy it, influencer unboxings. Man, they've glamorized constant buying.
Forget keeping up with the Kardashians. Social media algorithms bombard you with messages to keep up with just about everyone on your feed. Adults fall into this trap and risk blowing their budget. And young users, kids and teens, are especially vulnerable. Their prefrontal cortexes are still developing. That's the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and impulse control, among other things.
The people that are recommending these products, they seem like friends.
Influencers like Lauren talk directly to camera, like a FaceTime from your bestie.
I just spent my entire checkings account on 2 things from Sephora. 2 things, and I'm literally broke.
And they don't always connect the dots between pushing the button and the money coming out of the account.
According to financial coach April Taylor, the onus is on parents to safeguard against this messaging.
She suggests parents normalize talking about money and the importance of spending, saving, and sharing personal finance basics. Older kids can learn about earning, budgeting, and investing.
What kids see us do, they're going to do.
Parents need to model the behavior they want kids to emulate, which may mean cutting back on impulse purchases delivered to your door. She's a big proponent of the 24-hour rule.
That means you see something you want to buy or purchase, and you give yourself 24 hours before you actually push the button.
The one-day cooling off period can help prevent mindless overconsumption. Another tip from April, limit screen time while teaching them the value of money with chores.
And children early on get the concept that they have to do something to earn money.
Ann Gaviola, Global News, Toronto.
Next, rock reunion. Oasis makes a supersonic return in the UK. After a 16-year hiatus, British rock band Oasis made its triumphant return last night in front of more than 60,000 fans in Cardiff, Wales. The concert, the first in a highly anticipated reunion tour that many thought would never actually happen. Brothers Noel and Liam Gallagher, the heart of the band, had not performed together since their acrimonious split in 2009. So with the summer holiday season in full swing, an elbows-up domestic travel rush is also underway. Canadians across the country are increasingly choosing local this summer break. Now, a bright spot, of course, for Canadian businesses facing serious economic stress. However, that U.S. travel boycott by many has also led to a collapse in the number of Canadians heading south. Global's Anna Mandan visited one U.S. town where the push is on to reverse that trend.
Located minutes from the ocean in Old Orchard Beach, Maine, this souvenir shop has been here 45 years, but this season is like no other.
The worst year we have. We never have a year like that. Very, very, very bad. Even worse than the COVID.
The reason? He says bad weather, economic concerns, and fewer Canadian tourists.
It's like 50% off. Very bad. No business. You know, no Canadian, no business. Very tough.
This oceanfront motel says this year is nearly business as usual, except without one longtime Canadian guest.
He said it's because of the old relationship with Canada and U.S.
But U.S.-Canada tensions haven't stopped all Canadians from making the trek south, like Kelly Raymond, who traveled to Old Orchard Beach with her mother.
It should have, but it didn't. I don't want to support here that much by like spending money here, but then it's like I want to take some time off, so it's nice.
While this Quebec resident is visiting on a motorcycle trip.
I don't want Trump to decide my vacancy.
It's a perspective Saco resident Mary Lynn Leach hopes to see more of.
Maine makes their money in the summer, and if we don't get tourists, we're going to be in bad shape.
She's not the only one. Last week, Maine's governor was in Atlantic Canada, urging Canadians to visit her state.
I thought that was fabulous. I think that if Canadians understood how many of us would like it to be more like it used to be, you know, normal people with understanding how much it is enjoyable, and we like them enjoying our beaches.
A beloved seaside destination, waiting and hoping for the tide to turn. Anna Mandan, Global News, Old Orchard Beach, Maine.
And that's Global National for this Saturday night. I'm Anthony Robart. Tonight's Your Canada showcases Richiboucto Village, New Brunswick, also Warman, Saskatchewan, and a carving of caribou Sam in Cache Creek, BC. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Have a great night.